Alright, my very first tournament back, super stoked. Took everything I had just to get down here on time. You guys, if you haven't seen it, you can go back and watch the last video that we just posted. It was a lot of last minute getting things together, even though we had the off season boats and everything. It ended up being a little bit on the late side, but we made it, no problem. We got all down here. Had zero problems with the boat. That was a big thing that you're always worried about. First rattle out of the bag with the boat, first time on the water. There's usually 2 or 3 little hiccups. Fingers crossed, knock on this table right here. I haven't had a single issue yet. So this is the first day back out on the road. Day 1, first day of practice. Okeechobee's changed a lot. I mean, it is a totally different animal than what it looked the last time I was here. We let them go, and now we gone. So let's go to work. Today the war starts. I think 2019 was the last year that I was here. They've had a hurricane since then, last fall, and it has drastically changed. Let's win the battle today. All right, we have just finished the first day of practice. Super Bowl's going on right now. I'm exhausted, ready to get something to eat, ready to get a shower and get in bed. Got 2 more days of practice left. Guys, I'm super stoked to be back on the Elite Series, my very first event back. So it's almost like my very first Elite Series because it's been over a decade since I was here last time. So can't wait to get back out there on the water. Guys, can't tell y'all how much I appreciate every single one of y'all being here. It was a hell of a day. I mean, the wind blew 30 freaking miles an hour all day long. It was a decent day of practice. It really was. So looking forward to getting back out there tomorrow. 2 more days, like I told y'all, bringing y'all along for everything. Got lots of video for you guys. Very first Elite Series for Hallman, back in over a decade. Fired up. We're in Okeechobee City. Day 1 was windy, blew 30 miles an hour of practice. But I had a decent day, I had a few bites. Hoping just to expand on that. I'm just trying to cover all 3 ends of this lake in 3 days and pick which one I like best and hunker down probably. That seems to be always the deal in Florida. If you make more than 3 or 4 moves, it seems like in Florida you're probably, if you pick that trolling motor up 5 times or more, I don't know, it gets kind of iffy at that point. You need to find the area where they're at and stay put. So that's the game plan, find one of those areas. All right. Practice day number 2. Put in at Okeechobee City today. Gonna run the north side, see what that's like. Got a north wind today. Fish here close, see if we find some fish close. Yesterday was a decent day, got a few bites, nothing spectacular, but had a couple of the right ones. A lot of boats. Everywhere you get bit, everywhere I got bit, a lot of boats, which is typical Florida. You always try to find something that's not around everybody else, but it seems like I'm always trying and I never do make it work. I don't know why. It just works out that way. Sometimes it's alright, like it seems like the guy that does really well, he'll be around a bunch of guys, but he'll be like right outside of them, not right where they are. But I'm looking forward to today, see what we can get done. This tournament's a little bit different. Normally in years past we've always gone out the south end of Lake Clewiston. This year we're going out up here at Okeechobee City on the north end. So that's going to be a little bit of an adjustment. Kind of planned on jumping around with the wind through practice. The first day of practice, the wind blew 30 miles an hour, and that is not an exaggeration. That was the forecast with gusts up to 35, probably some that hit 40. It was really windy, straight out of the west. So that really predicted kind of how I wanted to practice. I stayed on the west side of the lake, obviously, on that day. And then second day of practice, the wind turned and came out of the north pretty good. So I fished the North Shore, which has been a very productive area. One of the things that we had that's really different for this event than what you normally see is that we were following an MLF event. They were here just last week. A guy that I used to fish with, friends with, Josh, just won that event last week, and it was all shot on live. So all of that coverage and everything was out there for all of us to watch because it is publicly available, so we're allowed to watch it. So there's a lot of content and ideas of things that were going on. Those guys wrecked them winding. Just chatterbait, swim jig, just anything winding. And it really stuck out to me. It was strange because normally there'd be some winding, but then there's some flipping too. But that didn't play that week. But those fish were definitely extremely active, fired up. We got here, like I said, first day of practice on Sunday. Wind was howling, caught them winding. No surprise. Caught them pretty good. Jig, chatterbait. But then as the week kind of progressed, the next day, the second day, I noticed that was starting to kind of die down a little bit tougher to get bites winding. Those fish have kind of really looking like they're maybe setting up to sit down on the bed, get down on that nest and not really chase anything. And so now it's a matter of putting that bait right on top of their head. And so now we're kind of hunting and pecking. After 3 days of practice, towards the end of the evening yesterday, I found a couple of places that, no doubt, they're acting like spawners. You can't visually see them, but it's typical Florida, spawn fishing where you're casting at a place that you think where a bed is and just fishing really, really slow, waiting for that tick. It's not been the greatest practice. Like I said, I had one day that I had pretty good weight. The other 2 days, maybe 8, 9, 10 pounds. Nothing spectacular. But the way this practice kind of ended, I kind of got to see a glimpse of what I think is going to happen. We've got warm weather coming throughout the week. It's going to get warmer and warmer and warmer. I think the spawn is going to get harder and harder. And I think what you're going to see with the advent of, you're going to see some chatterbait and wind and fish in the mornings when this tournament's over. I do believe that will still happen. But it will only be in the mornings, and then after you see that happen, then you're really going to start to see the guys catching spawners. You can still catch some spawners with a chatterbait and with a swim jig, but it won't be open water type. Well, I guess it could be. They will still eat it, the spawners, and you may see a guy or two that has that potential, but for the most part, I think what you're going to see are guys dragging, going real slow, picking out places that they are imagining there's a bed there and catching those bed fish. I think that when I got bit in there, I think they're spawning. That's what I think. I think every good bite I had was a spawner. I wouldn't be surprised if yours weren't either.
No, they were kind of so. That's the thing that's confusing to me. I'm just not used to this. Even on like Kissimmee and Harris Chain, I can get to the bank, and I can understand the way the fish would set up to spawn. Here, you can't get to the bank at all. So are they pushing way back in that stuff you can never get to, or are they getting right on that edge and trying to spawn on that edge where they can get some sunlight?
Dude, there's a bunch of them spawning out there in 3 and 4 foot. Just like the mouths of some of this stuff up here on North Shore. Those are spawners out there. Those guys are catching. They're not just feeding fish. I can't tell you by the way they bite or where they're located. I just by the size of them and what's going on and the time of days that they're biting. You know what I mean? Like those are spawners.
It's like it's full of crappie too.
Oh yeah, that's why there's a bazillion crappie fishing here.
Did you see all those crappie boats coming in?
Yeah, up the river.
I've never seen anything like that. Yeah. I came in when it was dark, basically.
You could come down here and be the hero of the canal.
The canal hero.
Every night.
You
could come down there and just live scope them. You'd be the one guy. You know how they're all on the sides fishing? You could be the one guy out in the middle chasing. They'd be like, "What are you out there?" I think John knows it's Valentine's Day. I think John got his wife flowers. No, I don't. Maybe he did. First day was okay. Yesterday sucked. And today, I'm hoping to God there's something on the bottom end of this lake, but we'll find out. I don't know. That's where I won at 5 or 6 years ago, but it was a lot different place. So we'll see how it goes. In detail of how my practice went, what I think how this tournament's going to unfold with the weather conditions and the things that we've got. Okeechobee's fishing really small right now. Very little clear water on this lake, so it's got a lot of us crammed into some really small areas. Good news is there's only 100 of us, so hopefully I end up the lucky one. Only goal that I've got is to make day 3. Just want to make day 3, top 50 cut. That's where the checks are, the money is, and that's what I want. So, guys, until next time, we're out of here.